เราจะได้รับฟังการนำเสนอรายงานจากประเทศอินโดนีเซียนะคะเกี่ยวกับการสร้างโอกาสให้เด็กๆในพื้นที่ห่างไกลเพื่อปลูกฝังเมล็ดพันธุ์แห่งความรักการอ่านลงในหัวใจของเด็กๆค่ะการสร้างห้องสมุดอยู่ในชุมชนที่มีแต่หนังสือเด็กไม่เก็บค่าบริการให้เด็กๆสามารถเลือกอ่านหนังสือได้หลากหลายประเภทเพื่อสร้างความรู้สึกที่ดีเกี่ยวกับการอ่านห้องสมุดนี้เกิดขึ้นจากแรงบันดาลใจใดและก็จะมีวิธีการดำเนินงานอย่างไรทุกท่านจะได้รับฟังกับการนำเสนอรายงานในหัวข้ออุทยานการอ่านสายรุ้งความคิดริเริ่มสู่การกระตุ้นและสร้างสรรค์จินตนาการของเด็กในพื้นที่อินโดนีเซียตะวันออกค่ะแล้วก็สำหรับการบรรยายเซสชันนี้ก็จะใช้ภาษาอังกฤษนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นถ้าต้องการหูฟังอย่าลืมนำบัตรประชาชนไปแลกรับได้ทางด้านหน้าห้องประชุมนะคะแล้วก็อีกนิดนึงอย่าลืมปิดเสียงโทรศัพท์มือถือค่ะแล้วก็อุปกรณ์สื่อสารทุกชนิดด้วยนะคะจะได้ไม่เป็นการรบกวนการบรรยายของท่านวิทยากรค่ะก่อนจะไปรับฟังการบรรยายนะคะดิฉันขอเล่าประวัติของท่านวิทยากรให้ทุกท่านได้ทราบกันนะคะคุณนิลาทันซิลค่ะเป็นผู้ก่อตั้งโครงการอุทยานการอ่านสายรุ้งเพื่อสนับสนุนส่งเสริมโอกาสการรู้หนังสือให้กับกลุ่มเด็กในพื้นที่ด้อยพัฒนาและห่างไกลความเจริญในภาคตะวันออกของประเทศอินโดนีเซียค่ะในเวลาไม่ถึง3ปีโครงการนี้สามารถกระจายหนังสือจำนวนกว่า 20,000 เล่มไปยังพื้นที่ห่างไกลแล้วก็สร้างห้องสมุดเด็กแห่งใหม่ได้อีก25แห่งตั้งอยู่ตามเกาะต่างๆถึง10เกาะในพื้นที่ภาคตะวันออกนะคะปัจจุบันคุณนิลาทำงานประจำอยู่ที่บริษัทไนกี้อินโดนีเซียค่ะในตำแหน่งหัวหน้าฝ่ายระดมทุนของผู้ถือหุ้นแต่เธอก็ยังแบ่งเวลาอีกส่วนหนึ่งนะคะทุ่มเทให้กับการขยายโอกาสในการเข้าถึงหนังสือของเด็กๆชาวอินโดนีเซียเพื่อให้เด็กเหล่านี้เกิดจินตนาการแล้วก็มีแรงบันดาลใจในชีวิตค่ะคุณนิลาสำเร็จการศึกษาระดับปริญญาโทสาขานิเทศศาสตร์ยุโรปจากมหาวิทยาลัยอัมสเตอร์ดัมและปริญญาตรีด้านความสัมพันธ์ระหว่างประเทศจากมหาวิทยาลัยปารายังกันประเทศอินโดนีเซียค่ะพร้อมกับได้รับการยกย่องให้เป็นนักศึกษาดีเด่นแห่งปีค่ะจากมหาวิทยาลัยแห่งนี้อีกด้วยนะคะการเริ่มโครงการอุทยานการอ่านสายรุ้งทำให้คุณนิลาได้รับรางวัลเกียรติยศมากมายอาทิรางวัลสตรีและเยาวชนผู้สร้างแรงบันดาลใจแห่งปีจัดโดยอินโดแซดนะคะรางวัลเธอทำได้จากทัพเปอร์แวร์เมื่อปีพศ 2554 ค่ะแล้วก็รางวัลบัญญัตรีจากยอชเอดโกลบอลเมื่อปี 2553 นะคะแล้วก็ไม่ต้องห่วงนะคะในช่วงท้ายของการบรรยายก็จะเปิดโอกาสให้ทุกท่านได้ซักถามคุณนิลาได้ด้วยนะคะหรือว่าอาจจะจดคำถามลงบนกระดาษโน้ตแล้วก็ส่งให้กับเจ้าหน้าที่ของเราได้ค่ะและในโอกาสนี้ดิฉันต้องขอเรียนเชิญวิทยากรของเรานะคะคุณนิลาทันซิลค่ะผู้ก่อตั้งโครงการอุทยานการอ่านสายรุ้งประเทศอินโดนีเซียมานำเสนอรายงานในหัวข้ออุทยานการอ่านสายรุ้งความคิดริเริ่มสู่การกระตุ้นและสร้างสรรค์จินตนาการของเด็กในพื้นที่อินโดนีเซียตะวันออกค่ะ
Thank you. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm very happy to be here together with people who share the same passion and vision. My name is Nila Tanzil and I come from Indonesia. I'm not a scientist nor academics, so I won't tell you numbers, but I'm going to tell you about what I see, how I feel, and what I think. Over the last 3 years, I built 25 libraries in eastern Indonesia. How did it start? I started 3 years ago when I was working in Labuan Bajo in Flores as a communications consultant for the Nature Conservancy. And after living there for 3 months, I met this captain from America. He was a yacht captain named Captain Tim. And he asked me to be his translator to go to 3 villages up in the mountains. I visited those villages before, but yeah, like this time I went with him because he wanted to donate school supplies for these schools. And when I went with him, I was very surprised to see the expressions of the teachers and the school principals when they received donation of a box full of school supplies. They're very grateful, and then they said, wow, we've never received any donation from foreigner or from anyone to our school. I was very touched by that, and I went back to my rented room, and I thought, I really wanted to do something for the community that I lived in, but what? And I know that to change something in the future, we have to start from the kids, because their parents are already formed, are already built. Like these kids' parents, most of them are fishermen or farmers, so it's hard to change them, right? If we want to change something in the future, so we have to start it from the kids. How? Education is the key. How? Books. I visited a lot of schools in the remote villages on Flores, and the school's facilities are very limited. They don't have libraries. So I thought, okay, this is a sign. Maybe I could do something. So I flew back to Jakarta, contact a big publishing company, asked them to give me discount if I bought books. So I bought a lot of books from my own pocket. Yeah, and then I flew back to Flores, started the first library, and then after 3 years, I set up 25 libraries on 10 islands in eastern Indonesia. The library is called Rainbow Reading Gardens. Let me tell you a little bit about my country. My country has over 17 islands with the population of 245 million people, and we have 800 local languages. So each island sometimes have more than 10 local languages in which we cannot really understand each other, right? But thank God we have our national language. So with 17,000 islands, if you would visit one island per day, it would then take you 47 years to visit all Indonesian islands. And let's talk about education. With all the 17 islands, how is the education quality? Is it equal? Our government has 9 years of free school program. It's a great program in which students can go to school for free from first grade until ninth grade. But the reality is that they still have to pay for uniforms and books, and then other additional fees like extracurricular, and then donation for the school building. And when it compounded, it becomes big. It's hard for parents who only earn less than $2 a day to send their kids to school, or even to keep their kids to school. So as a consequences, every year, 1.3 million of children between 7 to 15 years old drop out of school in Indonesia. This is a pretty staggering numbers. So how can we help with the big numbers of dropout? Okay, to give you a perspective about my libraries, Eastern Indonesia. Oh, I don't have. Yeah, Eastern Indonesia starts from Lombok and then go to the right from your side. Yeah. So how far do we have to travel from Jakarta, where I live, the capital, to, for example, Irian Jaya or Papua? It takes 9 hours by plane. Yes. So if you are in Los Angeles, it takes 11 hours. No, it takes 10 hours to go to London. So from Jakarta to Papua, yeah, it takes 9 hours. And then, like, I remember I went to Banda Neira where we set up our 25th library last January. From Jakarta, I had to fly to Ambon, and then it takes 4 hours. And I had to fly a speedboat. It took us 7 hours. So it takes 11 hours. It's even taken longer from Los Angeles to London. And yet still, I'm still in my own country, in Indonesia. So why do we build libraries in Eastern Indonesia? So the Rainbow Reading Gardens only focusing on Eastern Indonesia. This is Jakarta, my hometown, full of skyscrapers, good infrastructure. And on the second picture is Atambua. Atambua is a town, a little town on Timor Island. It's in the border between Indonesia and East Indonesia. Yeah, and that is a local people's house. That's the traditional house, no electricity. And kids have to walk a few kilometers just to go to the school. So you can imagine how remote the areas are. And this is one of the villages in Flores. At that time, we wanted to build a library there. And these kids helped me carry books to the library location. And these kids have to cross the river because the school is located on the other side. And I'm like, oh my God, can I use a bridge? Is there any bridge? And I saw there was a bridge over there. And I was wondering, why do we have to cross the river if there is a bridge? And then local people said, Miss, trust us, you don't want to cross that bridge. That bridge is older than you. So, yeah. So even the local people don't want to cross that bridge. Okay, I trust you, so let's cross the river. I was really scared that I might, fall, but yeah, thank God, I was survived. And this is another photo. These kids live in another village in the mountains area of Flores. To get to this village, you have to go to Bali first, and then fly to Labuan Bajo, and then you have to take a car for 5 hours, and after that you have to take a motorbike because car cannot go on that road. Motorbike ride for 2 hours, and then another 2 hours hike up to the mountain where they live. And if you see from the picture, these kids just finished school. They just got out of school, and you see they only bring a plastic bag that serves as their school bag, a plastic bag, and when I look inside, there's only one notebook and one pencil. They don't have textbooks at home, so they cannot study at home, they cannot read at home, they don't have anything. And most of these kids, they don't wear shoes. Some of them wear sandals, and some of them walk barefoot 2 hours to the school from their village. So I remember I went to a small island called Kukusan Island to build a library there. It's a tiny island, and there are only 70 families on the island, and the students in the school are only 40 students. The school is located on top of a hill, really gorgeous scenery. And I visited there, and they only have 4 classrooms. So some classrooms, students from 3rd to 4th grade have to share classroom together. And I visited the classroom of the 1st grade. It's a tiny room, consists of 5 chairs and 5 desks or tables facing the wall. And then on the wall, there is a window overlooking the gorgeous scenery, overlooking the sea. It's really beautiful. And I was like, hey, wait a minute. There's no blackboard or whiteboard. Above the window, there's only a wooden board as big as a license plate with a writing of 1 to 10, number 1 to 10. That's all. So I thought, how can these kids learn to read and write if there's no blackboard in the class, no wonder these kids cannot read. It's really shocking. And in Atambua, the Smurf house that we saw before, I spoke to the school principal when I brought books, trying to set up library there. He asked me, okay, for what age your library are targeting? And then I said, for elementary school kids, from 5 to 13. And then he said, Bu means ma'am. Bu, please don't be surprised because our students, they cannot read until they reach 4th grade. 4th grade, 10 years old, they just learning how to read. I was really shocked because I come from Jakarta, and then in Jakarta, students in the 1st grade, they're able to read. I was like, wow. So the illiteracy rate in Eastern Indonesia ranges between 36% and 10%, which means 1 in 3 kids cannot read. This is why I set up libraries in eastern part of Indonesia as my personal way to nurture children's interest in reading and provide access to good books, books that are suitable for their age. And the location is not in school. The location is in the village where they live. Why? Again, a lot of them have to walk really far to go to school. And at school, they only have 15 minutes of school break. Most of them would prefer play with their friends, right? Yeah, so that's why I want to bring the books closer to where they live, which is in the area where they live, in the community area. So the location is in the local people's house or in cultural community center. It's a fun place to read. I want the library to be a fun place to read where kids can enjoy reading, where lying on the grass, looking over the beautiful sea while enjoying good books. The type of books are also something who are fun to read. Like Dr. Deer said before, books that are full of colors, pictures, illustrations, children's storybooks, folk tales, books about animals. They really love books about animals. I also provide, it's really funny, I also provide Japanese manga comics because I know kids in Jakarta are crazy about that. But these kids, they don't touch those books. Yeah, and then like Japanese comic books, they started from behind, right? They couldn't figure out, hey, is this wrong? So I was wondering why. It's because in their villages, they don't have electricity. So they never watch Japanese movies. So they don't feel associated with them. So the books that they love are books about animals and plants and yeah, folk tales. It's really insightful for me too. So over 3 years, I set up 25 libraries. I visited those villages, and it's really impressive to see the facial expressions of the kids. Every time we set up new library, every time we open the boxes and show them the types of books that we brought, their eyes are sparkling, they're smiling, they cannot wait to touch and read the books. They'll be rushing to the bookshelf and then choose the books that they want to read. I was very impressed, and I was very happy to see their facial expressions. And in Indonesian, we have a phrase called haus akan bacaan, which literally means a thirst for reading. These kids never saw books like that in their life. in their life, because at school they don't have library, they don't have anything, they don't have electricity, they cannot watch TV and movies, let alone read books. So they got very excited to see all these colorful books with lots of pictures. And I remember my last trip to Banda Neira, a volunteer from England, Banda Neira is in Maluku, a volunteer from England was there and said, wow, I've never seen such excitement from kids seeing all books. I even found it hard for myself to get my kids reading. But seeing these kids here and how they just want to get their hands on these books is really, really impressive, said the lady from UK. We also take kids to go to some excursion to the lake, just to introduce, hey, reading can be fun. You can enjoy reading by the lake. So yeah, I want to start introducing that reading can be fun. And this is our concept. I knew back then that I wouldn't be living in Flores forever, so I thought this library has to be sustainable. I collaborate with local community, in which usually we had a big meeting with all the elders and school principal and then head of the village, because they're the ones who are gonna manage the library, so I have to collaborate with them. And then also we rotate the books. So the books from one village or one spot will be rotated to another location of Rainbow Reading Gardens every 6 months. The idea is so that the kids have new collection of books regularly. And everyone who are involved in this library are all volunteers. We don't pay them. It's all based on volunteerism, because our project is still, it's not as big as TK Park, so we cannot afford to pay our volunteers. And then I also realized that these volunteers, who are mostly teachers, they need a new set of skills. So we give capacity building program for these volunteers, in which we collaborate with another organization called Society for the Advancement for Children's Literature. So we give 2 days of workshops in which the people who manage the libraries, they learn on how to do good storytelling and how to create interesting programs for the library so that the kids can be more excited to go to the library every week. I want these kids to dream big. I want them to have the courage to dream big. When I ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? 3 years ago, they said, the answers are only 2. They said, I want to be a teacher, or I want to be a priest. Only 2 answers. I didn't hear any other answers than those answers. Why? I was wondering. Because these kids are never exposed to any other professions apart from their parents' professions, who are fishermen or farmers. So they have no idea that there are other professions out there. So through books, I want them to know that they have options. Books will expand their imagination and also knowledge. From books that they read, it will create their imagination and inspire them. Oh, I can be a pilot. Oh, such profession exists. I want to be that guy. And also, a lot of my friends who want to visit these areas, because it's also famous for tourists because of the beauty of the landscape, I ask them to visit our libraries and talk to the kids, to inspire them. I ask them to share, what is your profession? Tell the kids, what's your profession? So now, 3 years later, when I ask them, what do you want to be? The answers are various. I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a journalist. It's amazing. I'm very happy to see that. Finally, their minds have opened to all these opportunities through the simplest way of possible, the pages of books, and also sharing experience from the people that they meet. So these are the testimonials from the people who manage the libraries on the ground. They said every week more kids come to the library. So one child talked to their friends, hey, I read books about lion. Hey, I read books about sharks. So it makes their friends want to see that books too. And then also, teachers said it enhanced their language skills. These kids who live in the remote areas, they use their local language to speak daily. And also teachers at school, even though they have to speak in our national language, but they have a dilemma. Sometimes the kids don't understand what they say because if the language is too formal, the kids don't understand. So they have to explain it in their local language. So by providing these books who are written in our national language, it enhances their language skills. It makes their vocabularies become more rich. And then also it increased reading and writing skills. One language teacher told me that now if I ask the kids to write a story, the flow of the story has become better, has made more sense. So I know this type of initiative, we can only see the benefit long term, right? So hearing about this, it already makes me happy. At least we started to see the benefit in 3 years. And apart from that, of course, books are a source of inspiration for these kids. How does Rainbow Reading Gardens exist in terms of logistics? We partner with airlines. So every time we want to ship books or we go to our libraries bringing boxes of books, you know, books are heavy. We partner with the airlines and then they give us free of charge for our excess baggage. 200 kilos, 250 kilos, free of charge. It's amazing. And then also we partner with Yacht Association. So these yachts go to remote islands. So they bring books for us. And we can ask them, hey, we have a lot of books in Jakarta, can you help ship them? So they do that for us too. And we also use grassroots volunteers on the ground, the local people, and also urban communities. My friends in Jakarta, people who live and work in Jakarta, we utilize them. How? This is a way for us to do book drive. So we utilize people who live in Jakarta to start donating for children books. So we put drop boxes in hangout places, in cafes, in cool places. We put drop boxes so that people can donate books to us. And then also we use social media. Indonesia is the third most active country in the world in using Facebook and Twitter. And Jakarta, it's impressive, right? And Jakarta is the most active city in the world on Twitter. So if Twitter has the capital, it will be Jakarta. So we tweet all the time. Yeah, we promote our library project through Facebook and Twitter, and also emails and blogs, everything. And then we're also open to network with other international reading organizations. My dream is to have a library on every island in eastern Indonesia. You can help me achieve that dream. Let us collaborate together. to provide more access to books to those kids. To put it simply, I just want Indonesian kids to smile through books. This will be my last page. How? Okay. Oops, sorry. Maybe I have to do it from here. Yeah, so that is our location in Labuan Bajo, in which the kids started to learn English. There was a teacher who used to teach in international school in Jakarta, and then she moved to Labuan Bajo, and I asked her to help the library project, so she started teaching English for the kids, and that's why the kids can sing English. But the ones on really remote villages, yeah, they don't have English teacher. The kids cannot speak English or read. But let's think from the basic first. If fourth grade kids just learn how to read, we really have a big homework. So feel free to contact us. This is our website on Facebook and Twitter, and then at the bottom is my personal Twitter account. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I would also like to thank my mom for the great support and inspiration. My mom is there.
ขอบคุณค่ะคุณนิลาทันซิลนะคะผู้ก่อตั้งโครงการอุทยานการอ่านสายรุ้งประเทศอินโดนีเซียค่ะทุกท่านคงได้แรงบันดาลใจที่หลากหลายจากการนำเสนอของคุณนิลาไปแล้วนะคะทีนี้มาถึงช่วงของการถามคำถามบ้างละค่ะมีใครมีคำถามอยากจะถามท่านวิทยากรของเรายกมือได้เลยนะคะแล้วเดี๋ยวเจ้าหน้าที่เราจะเดินไปหานะคะถามได้ทั้งภาษาไทยและภาษาอังกฤษเพราะว่าเราจะมีล่ามแปลค่ะเดี๋ยวก่อนจะถามช่วยแนะนำตัวนะคะชื่อแล้วก็มาจากไหนนะคะจะได้รู้จักกันค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ
ขอบคุณค่ะค่ะดิฉันส่องล่าเทพชาวนะจากสถาบันการศึกษาและพัฒนาต่อเนื่องสิรินธรเนื่องจากว่าที่สถาบันสิรินธรเป็นสถาบันฝึกอบรมแล้วก็มีห้องสมุดประชาชนเฉลิมราชกุมารีอำเภอปากช่องที่ดูแลอยู่ด้วยนะคะค่ะอยากจะถามว่าการที่คุณทิล่าเมซินทำบุ๊กโรเทชันนะคะการหมุนเวียนหนังสือท่านทำยังไงคะกับ25ห้องสมุดนะคะขอบคุณค่ะ
ค่ะขอบคุณค่ะ
Okay, thank you for the question. Really good question. So how do we rotate the books? We have coordinators on each area. So for example, the way we set up libraries is that one big area consists of 5 villages, for example. There is one coordinator. So he will be in charge for rotating the books in the 3 villages. It's not necessarily close, but he has to do it. Like sometimes it takes like 3 hours to go by motorbikes to rotate the books to the nearest village. And then also we have a coordinator to rotate the books on the islands because like on Komodo National Park there are 3 islands that we set up libraries on Komodo Island, Rinca Island and Papagarang Island. And on this island we have 1 coordinator. So that's how it works. More questions?
ค่ะมีคำถามอีกไหมคะ ยกมือได้เลยนะคะ หรือว่าจะเขียนลงบนกระดาษแล้วก็ส่งให้เจ้าหน้าที่ก็ได้ค่ะนี่นะคะลองดูค่ะมีคำถามที่ส่งมาตรงนี้นะคะ ห้องสมุดในอินโดนีเซียค่ะสามารถให้เด็กเนี่ยยืมหนังสือกลับบ้านได้หรือไม่นะคะหรือว่าให้อ่านแต่ในห้องสมุดเท่านั้นนะคะและห้องสมุดที่คุณมิล่าไปก่อตั้งนั้นมีขนาดประมาณเท่าไหร่ค่ะพอดีเขียนด้วยดินสอแล้วมันแสงน้อยมากนอกจากมีการอบรมอาสาสมัครให้รู้จักเล่านิทานนะคะมีการอบรมให้พ่อแม่เนี่ยได้เล่านิทานให้ลูกฟังได้หรือไม่นี่คือคำถามที่1ค่ะ
Okay. Thank you for the question. I forgot.
Again?
Oh, I answered for the capacity building, yeah? Oh, size of the library. Yeah, the size of the library, don't imagine TK Park with millions of books. This library is pretty small. At least minimum we have 500 books to 2,000 books. Yeah, that's why we rotate the books regularly.
Can borrow the books from library.
Oh, can the kids in Rainbow Reading Gardens borrow the books home? Unfortunately not. Why? Because if they borrow the books home, they might get dirty because they have to walk in the forest or they play on the beach and then the books get wet or swiped away by the wave. So we tell them that they can read books for as long as they want in the library, in the location of Rainbow Reading Gardens. And then also we tell them to be careful flipping through pages because please remember your friends who live on another island or another village, they also will read the books that you read after 6 months because we rotate the books. Okay, is there any training for storytellings for the parents? Not yet. We told our volunteers who get the capacity building program to start becoming change agents in their village. And they already started doing it. Not only they share the skills to their peers, the teachers in their school, but also they trained kids on storytelling. So I just visited few libraries 2 weeks ago, and then there were girls that say, hey, Kak, sister, now I can do storytelling. Can I do storytelling for my friends now? And I'm like, wow, it's amazing. So she started doing storytelling to her friends, and then her friends surrounded her, listening to the story. So that's the result of the capacity building that we give to our volunteers.
Next question.
ค่ะ
Yeah.
ทีนี้มาถึงคำถามต่อไปนะคะหนังสือส่วนใหญ่ที่เด็กได้รับเนี่ยเป็นภาษาอะไร ถ้าในอินโดนีเซียเนี่ยมีภาษาที่ใช้ต่างกันเกือบ800ภาษานะคะก็ใช้ภาษาอะไรเป็นหลักแล้วมันทำให้เด็กเนี่ยมีปัญหาเรื่องของภาษาเนี่ยช้ากว่าเด็กที่อื่นหรือเปล่าเพราะมันมีภาษาเยอะค่ะ
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
ทวนคำถามอีกทีนะคะส่วนใหญ่หนังสือที่เด็กได้เนี่ยเป็นภาษาอะไร
what kind of language that the book the children get in the library?
Okay, it's all written in Indonesian language. Indonesian language, yeah, and it's very helpful for them and also for the teachers because it enhances their language skills. They have now they know more vocabularies in our national language, which is great because all the national exams at school are written in national language. That's why Eastern Indonesia, when it comes to national exam level, they're very low. A lot of them cannot graduate simply because they don't understand the question. So being able to read and making reading is a habit really helps them to have a better understanding of our national language itself. But also we provide English children books, but maybe only 10%. Why? Because we also want to encourage them to start learning English. Yeah.
So as you said earlier, that Indonesia has almost 800 languages. So with these differences, that it makes the children have a little harder to understand the language. Is in fact with the learning process of the children or not?
Is in fact what?
Because you have so many languages, is also in fact with the children learning process or not?
Yes, of course. That's why the illiteracy rate is pretty high because the textbooks at school are all written in national language, and usually all the books are written in national language too. So it's a big challenge really because at home they speak with their own language, local language, and then also at school the teachers explain in local language. Sometimes they're forced to teach in national language, but for topics that are difficult like math, they have to use local language. But let's not give up because these kids need to learn our national language because it's for them to be able to work, for them to be able to achieve their dream, all the materials are written in our national language. So let's start from providing them with books that have good quality and that can stimulate their interest in reading first.
ค่ะคำถามต่อไปนะคะแล้วคุณมีวิธีการในการจะดึงดูดหรือว่าชักจูงอาสาสมัครให้มาร่วมอุดมการณ์กับคุณได้ยังไง
Ms. Nila, how can you encourage people to join your program as a volunteer?
As a volunteer?
I mean, how can you encourage people to come to help you in your program?
Okay, so again, I use a lot of social media activities, Twitter and Facebook. So on our Facebook page, there are a lot of photos. Image speaks 1,000 words, right? So I'm sure when people see the smile of the kids reading in remote locations, I'm sure maybe not 100% of them feel touched, but at least a few percent of them would feel the desire to help. And that's how we encourage people to start, joining our program. And I'm happy to know that there are more and more young people in Indonesia are willing to do something and then are willing to start being involved in the library project. So they contact us and then we said, hey, yeah, you can do book drive in your own area and then send the books to us. We have partnered with airlines and then shipping companies, so we can just contact them and then ship the books for free. As simple as that. We tell them don't complicate things. Just do what you can. Start from yourself first. That's how we encourage them. And then also we do creative book drives, campaign, and fundraising activities. For example, we held an event called Prize in the Face. It's not pretty common in Asia, but it's pretty common in United States. So this is for fundraising. So we make cream pie, not real pie, just the cream, and then people can throw the pies to our volunteers' faces, and then they paid $10 rupiah. And then in 2 hours, we got millions. Yeah, that's just, you know, to create more creative ways on fundraising.
ค่ะมีคำถามต่อไปทางด้านนู้นค่ะอย่าลืมแนะนำตัวให้เรารู้จักด้วยนะคะ
I asked permission to ask the second time. We also from the We Are Happy we promote the reading campaigns. I think what we learned from our friend from Sivichai area, Sivichai, because Indonesia and Thailand are very closely linked through Sivichai Empire. I think your finding is very relevant to what we have found. Is that we can solve the problem of reading, because what is thing is a relevancy of what the reading and what the children are facing in the context around. Because sometimes people say we don't read enough, but if the thing they read is relevant to what they are facing, because the children living among the nature, and so they are very eager and curious about the thing around them. So I think what you are facing, you are really had a finding is relevancy of the reading, so that the relevancy is very important. What is your comment on that? Thank you.
Yes, I totally agree. The relevancy is very important. So that's why for the libraries that are located on the islands and on the small islands, the population there are mostly, I can say 99% are fishermen. So the types of books that we provide for these types of locations are books about sharks, manta rays, fishing books, right? So that these kids have more relevancy to the books that they read. But also when we do storytelling, we insert some conservation messages. I remember I asked the kids who live on the islands, hey, can we catch manta rays? And then they said, yeah, we can. Can we catch shark? Yeah, we can. Yes. Whereas all the conservationists are struggling to save sharks, and these kids who are parents or fishermen say, of course we can just catch them in the sea. We saw our parents doing it. So that's how we started inserting conservation messages to them through storytelling.
ค่ะโอเคมีคำถามอื่นอีกไหมคะยังพอมีเวลานะคะมีทางด้านนู้นใช่ไหมคะช่วยแนะนำตัวให้รู้จักด้วยนะคะ
ค่ะสุดใจพรหมเกิดค่ะผู้จัดการแผนงานสร้างเสริมวัฒนธรรมการอ่านสสสนะคะคือเรื่องที่คุณนิลาเล่านะคะค่อนข้างคล้ายคลึงกับทางภาคใต้ของภาคีบ้านเราอะค่ะที่กลุ่มระบาดใบเขาทำงานเขาใช้ระบบหมุนเวียนกล่องหนังสือก็เลยอยากให้คุณนิลาช่วยกรุณาลงรายละเอียดอีกนิดนึงนะคะว่าเวลาการหมุนเวียนหนังสือเนี่ยนะคะแต่ละครั้งเนี่ยจำนวนหนังสือนี่ประมาณเท่าไหร่แล้วก็ใช้ระยะเวลาเท่าไหร่ถึงจะหมุนเวียนแล้วก็ภาชนะที่บรรจุนะคะเป็นแบบไหนของระบาดใบเนี่ยเขาใช้กล่องเป็นกล่องหนังสือหมุนเวียนหนังสือครั้งละ100 ถึง 200 เล่มนะคะเพราะว่าทางระนองเนี่ยฝนก็ค่อนข้างตกชุกนะคะแต่ว่าไม่ลำบากเหมือนขนาดพันเกาะของคุณนิลาขอบคุณค่ะ
Okay, so the book rotation, that's why we did it every 6 months, because during the rainy season we cannot really rotate the books, especially on the areas on the mountains areas. It's hard to do it during the rainy season, so we have to wait until the rain season finished, then we rotate the books. And yeah, we put the books in the boxes, but for the library who has 2,000 books, we cannot do the rotation in one go. we have to do it twice. So we ask the kids to start counting for the books, and then this is the new books. These are the new books, and then please choose whatever books that you want to rotate and put them in boxes, and then we ask the coordinator to start doing the rotation.
ค่ะโอเคถ้ายังมีคำถามอีกนะคะอาจจะเขียนลงบนกระดาษโน้ตแล้วก็ฝากไว้กับเจ้าหน้าที่ของเราก็ได้นะคะเดี๋ยวเราอาจจะกลับมาถามมันอีกในช่วงท้ายค่ะส่วนบางคำถามที่ดูเหมือนไม่ใช่คำถามเท่าไหร่อันนี้ขอข้ามไปก่อนแล้วกันนะคะเพราะช่วงนี้น่าจะหิวข้าวกันแล้วนะคะค่ะก็ต้องขอขอบคุณคุณนิลาทันซิลนะคะผู้ก่อตั้งโครงการอุทยานการอ่านสายรุ้งประเทศอินโดนีเซียค่ะขอเสียงปรบมือให้กับคุณนิลาด้วยค่ะ